Thanks so much for joining us, Senator. I'm going to turn now to Senator Capito, and then Sheldon Whitehouse, and then me.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Goffman, based on your calendars, you were meeting with Climate Czar Gina McCarthy and Deputy Administrator McCabe without Administrator Regan present before he was confirmed. In one of those meetings early in the administration on February the 4th, 2021, you met with Ms. McCarthy about the power plant or EGU strategy, and you had a PowerPoint document that was attached to your calendar. Would you be able to commit that we could see that document?
If I would like to just check with General Counsel to see if it's appropriate for me to share that.
Thank you. I think that would help us with the transparency of something I've been trying to get at in some of my questioning. So earlier this year, the EPA announced the proposed Good Neighbor Plan that would affect 26 states. This action would apply to power plants and certain types of industrial sources to reduce nitrogen oxides that purportedly contribute to ozone in other states. So industries targeted include iron, steel, cement, and concrete, and are vitally important to the implementation of something important to both of us and to this Congress and this President, which is the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. The law includes Buy American provisions that require the use of U.S. manufactured products in certain categories, and we already have severe supply chain bottlenecks. Your proposal could make those matters worse by increasing costs on domestic production, stymieing the availability of products to meet the legislative requirements of IIJA to support our domestic workers, and potentially even shutter some facilities. Did you evaluate this policy and how that impact on the domestic production of these materials might be, such as for steel and concrete and cement, prior to proposing this?
Thanks for asking that question. I think the administration and the administrator and I agree with you that this is an important cluster of issues. In fact, as you just stated, American manufacturing, maintaining American manufacturing, is a priority for the president. The way we approach this rule is first by recognizing that air pollution that travels across state lines can have a significant bad impact on downwind communities. And the courts have been clear repeatedly that we have an obligation to prevent that from happening. What we propose to require in that rule, Senator Capito, is technologies and measures that are already in widespread use in a variety of industrial sources and in the power sector. So that in many ways, what we're asking some of the covered sources to do is simply operate on a level playing field with what already operating sources across the country have installed by way of pollution control technology and are continuing to operate.
So I guess the question was, have you considered what impacts it would have on the creation of a lot of the infrastructure packages with the Buy America provisions? Did you look at that specific aspect of that in terms of whether they could continue production in the magnitude of which this bill gives us a once-in-a-lifetime chance to do?
I would prefer to get back to you on that specific question because I just don't know off the top of my head the extent to which we looked at that specific question and how we framed it to ourselves. As you know, we do extensive regulatory impact analysis, and it's our legal and policy obligation to focus on the feasibility of any requirements that we propose.
Well, I think there has been some questions as to whether some of the technologies are actually workable, but we can get into the details of that at another time. I want to ask about the national determinant, the NDC contribution, the targets that are put out there. Repeatedly, I've asked in every single one of these meetings how we reach these goals and what it does to the American economy. And you know, I would like to know if that's an area that EPA looks at when they're looking at this. Did EPA have a role in giving this national determined contribution Where's it going to come from? How do we get there?
The Environmental Protection Agency was asked to provide data to the White House Climate Policy Office, which, as you know, was the lead office responsible for developing the nationally determined commitment and the analysis supporting it. EPA's contribution to the achievement really inheres in our Clean Air Act authority. And as you know, we apply that authority action by action, standard setting by standard setting for air pollution and greenhouse gases, going sector by sector.
Well, one of the frustrations, and then I'll wrap up here, and I appreciate your testimony today, is we have asked for that data from the EPA as what part they played in taking this to the White House. We're not satisfied we've gotten all of the data. We're still asking for a deeper explanation of that data so that we have an apples-to-apples comparison. And any help that you could give us on that as we move forward would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Senator Capito, my understanding is that we've produced everything that you've requested, but
I requested an additional meeting of explanation from EPA. I'm not sure. Yes, we haven't had that yet. The administrator said it would come forward, so if you could help us with that, we'd appreciate it. Where we can get your staff and our staff together so we understand what this data is. Thank you.
Will do.